Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to read a story about a young man named James. This story will teach us about the importance of honesty and the consequences of greed. It's a tale for those who are learning English, filled with easy-to-understand words. And check description for advanced vocabulary. So let's dive deeper into the story. In a small, quiet village lived a young man named James. He was known for his clever mind and his ability to fix almost anything. From a broken cartwheel to a leaky roof, James was the person everyone went to for help. He was skilled, and he knew it, but he had a secret weakness for gold and silver. James dreamed of a life far from his simple village, a life in the big city. He imagined people wore fine clothes and lived in grand houses. He believed that money was the only thing that could bring him happiness and respect. This desire for wealth often clouded his judgment and made him forget simple joys. One sunny afternoon, an old merchant named Arthur arrived in the village. His carriage, loaded with exotic goods and treasures, had a broken axle. The villagers, as they always did, pointed him toward James's small workshop. Arthur, a man with kind eyes, saw the skill in James's hands, but also the greed in his eyes. As James worked on the carriage, Arthur told him stories of his travels. He spoke of bustling cities and faraway lands, of great palaces and wealthy kings, but he also spoke of the happiness he found in simple acts of kindness. James listened, but his mind was focused on the payment he would receive. He decided to charge the merchant double his usual fee for the repair. He thought the wealthy man would not notice or care about the extra cost. When the work was done, James presented the bill with a confident smile. Arthur looked at the amount, and a brief look of disappointment crossed his face. The merchant paid the bill without a word of complaint. Before leaving, he turned to James and said, "You have a great talent, young man, but remember, a skill is only as valuable as the honesty of the person who wields it." The words stuck with James, but the extra coins in his pocket soon made him forget. A few weeks later, a royal messenger arrived in the village with an important announcement. The king was seeking the most skilled craftsman in the land to build a beautiful chest. It was to be a birthday gift for the queen, and a competition would be held. The winner would receive a royal contract and a handsome sum of gold. This was the chance James had been dreaming of his entire life. He spent days and nights in his workshop, pouring all his skill into a magnificent chest. He used the finest wood and polished it until it shone like glass. He carved elaborate designs of birds and flowers, making it a true masterpiece. On the day of the competition, craftsmen from all over the land gathered at the royal court. James presented his chest, and the king and his ministers were amazed by its beauty. They declared it the finest piece they had ever seen, and James's heart swelled with pride. His dream was finally within his reach, and he could almost feel the gold. Just as the king was about to announce James as the winner, a familiar voice was heard. "Your Majesty, if I may have a word," the voice said calmly. It was Arthur, the old merchant, who now stood before the king. James's heart sank as he realized Arthur was not just a simple merchant. Arthur approached the king and whispered something in his ear while looking at James. He then spoke to the court. "This young man is indeed a master of his craft. But skill alone," he said, turning to James, "does not make a person worthy of the king's trust. Honesty and integrity," he continued, "are just as important." The old merchant then recounted the story of the broken axle and the inflated bill. A heavy silence fell upon the hall as everyone listened to his words. The king looked at James, his expression stern and serious. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice echoing through the quiet room. James, ashamed and unable to lie in front of the entire court, could only nod his head. The king's face filled with disappointment as he looked at the young craftsman. "We seek not only a craftsman, but a person of character to serve the royal family," he declared. "Your work is beautiful, but your actions have shown a flaw in your character." The royal contract was awarded to another craftsman, a humble man with a strong reputation for honesty. James was left standing alone, his beautiful chest a symbol of his lost opportunity. The shame was far heavier than any bag of gold he had ever desired. He returned to his village with a painful lesson learned. Back in his workshop, James looked at his tools and the wood around him. He realized that his greed had cost him more than just a contract. It had cost him his honor. He remembered Arthur's words about honesty, and for the first time, he truly understood their meaning. He had let his desire for money corrupt his greatest gift. From that day on, James changed his ways and became a different person. He continued to work, but his motivation was no longer just about money. He charged fair prices and treated every customer with respect and kindness. He found joy in a job well done and in the gratitude of his neighbors. Years passed, and James became a respected elder in the village. He never became as wealthy as he had once dreamed, but he was rich in other ways. He had the trust and friendship of his community and a clear conscience. He had a sense of peace that no amount of gold could ever buy. He often shared his story with the young people of the village. He taught them that true wealth lies not in what you have, but in the person you are. Honesty, he would say, is the most valuable tool a craftsman can possess. His life became a lesson for everyone around him. And so our story of James comes to an end. He learned that honesty and integrity are the true treasures in life. Greed may offer a shortcut, but it often leads down a lonely path. If you have found this video helpful, please subscribe English Storyline. See you next time.